Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to give a warm welcome to all of you out there. My name is Renee, and you're watching Renee's Health Corner. Believe it or not, God really does care about your health. In 2022, just about anywhere you look, sickness and disease is on the rise. In America, 4,000 times a day, someone has a heart attack. A new diabetic is discovered every 50 seconds, and 1 out of 4 people have cancer. That's 25% of the American population. There's also a rise in the number of strokes per year, gastrointestinal problems, arthritic conditions, lung conditions, lupus, multiple sclerosis, and a host of many other diseases. And remember, all the information that I share with you is supported by the Bible, the spirit of prophecy, medical research, and or medical science. And the great thing is, most of what I discuss with you is no cost at all to you to follow the things that I suggest and tell you and teach you. And I'm not going to ask you to buy any quick fix elixirs or buy any pills or anything like that. You can study this stuff out for yourself, and you're not required to purchase anything at all. All that I ask is that you have a listening ear and a sharing spirit so you can pass along what you learn with others and help them as well. Now, the last time I spoke on the subject of MSG and aspartame, and I told about the different hidden names of MSG and things like that. And today I'm going to be telling you about the dangers of canola oil. In the Bible, in Isaiah 55:2, we're counseled to eat that which is good. The word good here means that which is best. So according to the Bible, God wants us to eat those foods that are best for our health and our healing. And he wants us to eat foods that promote health and healing. And nobody likes to be sick and get a disease and have to stress over that. It's much better to be healthy and feel good. But you know, today, many foods contain canola oil. And a lot of people are unaware that this oil is harmful, and it is causing many medical conditions, which I'm going to get into. Now, first of all, in Proverbs 26:2 in the Bible, it says, "The curse causeless shall not come." And then in 3 John 2, it says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." And then one more, Job 29:16 says, "The cause which I knew not, I searched out." So note, we need to find out which law of health we violated, remove that violation, and offer a prayer of faith and sit back and watch the glory of God. Now, I'm going to give you quite a few quotes here from the Spirit of Prophecy. The first one is from CD, "Education should be given on proper diet." That's page 406. And then we're told in 11MR to become more intelligent in regards to the laws of life. And then in General Conference Daily Bulletin, January 30, 1893, it says, "Educate people in regard to the laws of life." Why? Well, we're told why in MM, page 259, paragraph 3, it says, "So that they may know how to preserve health." And then we're told true religion is a law, and the laws of health go hand in hand, which is 7T 137.1. And in KC 20.4, it says, "In violating the laws of health, you misrepresent your maker." And MH 128, paragraph 1 says, "It is the duty of every person for his own sake and for the sake of humanity to inform himself in regard to the laws of life and conscientiously to obey them." CG, page 361, paragraph 2 says, "We should educate ourselves not only to live in harmony with the laws of health, but to teach others the better way." So that's what I'm trying to do here today, is to teach you a better way and inform you of the dangers of this terrible oil that many people consume. We're told in MH 128 that it is far better to prevent disease than to know how to treat it when contracted. It takes a long time to get sick. Our bodies can take a lot of abuse, but then once we get sick, it's a hard job to get it back to where it was. So it's easier to just do it right in the first place and not have to go through all that. We're told in Ministry of Healing, page 235, when the abuse of health is carried so far that sickness results, the sufferer can often do for himself what no one else can do for him. The first thing to be done is to ascertain the true character of the sickness and then go to work intelligently to remove the cause. And we're told in CD 102, paragraph 1, be sure that as a rational Christian sentinel, you guard the door of your stomach, allowing nothing to pass your lips that will be an enemy to your health and life. And then LLM, page 545, says our food should be plain and free from all objectionable elements, but let us be careful that it is always palatable and good. I hear so many times that people are not wanting to eat plant-based because they've had bad experiences with eating it at somebody's house or somewhere, and it didn't taste good. So we have to learn how to make the food taste good. In fact, I've had 2 pastors tell me when I invited them over for dinner, they accepted, and once they came over and ate, they told me that they were skeptical when I gave them the invitation because they'd had bad experiences with vegan food. But after they ate my food, they said how delicious it was and how well it tasted. So we have to learn to cook and make things taste good so that people want to eat it and don't get turned off from being plant-based. We're told that in CTBH, it is truly a sin to violate the laws of our being as it is to break the 10 commandments. And we don't want to break the 10 commandments, right? So if we violate the laws of our being, then we're breaking the 10 commandments. And we're also told in Counsels on Diet and Foods that the Lord loves us and he doesn't want us to do ourselves harm by following unhealthful recipes. So then we're told in Counsels on Diet and Foods as well that we are to discard all unwholesome recipes. Now let's get into our talk about canola oil. The consumption of canola oil is related to many diseases. And we're told in Ministry of Healing, page 127, paragraphs 1 and 2, disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. In case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained, unhealthful conditions should be changed, and wrong habits corrected. Then we're told that disease never comes without a cause. The way is prepared and disease is invited by disregarding the laws of health. And that's also Ministry of Healing, page 234. So then, like I said, we have to find out which law of health we violated and remove it and, pray, repent, and watch the glory of God. So what is canola oil anyway? Well, olive oil comes from olives. Peanut oil comes from peanuts. Sunflower oil comes from sunflowers. But canola is not the name of a natural plant, but a made-up name from the words Canada and oil. Canola is a genetically engineered plant developed from the rapeseed plant, which is part of the mustard family of plants according to Additives. These rapeseed oils have long been used to produce oils for purposes that are toxic to humans as well as animals. And the truth is that rapeseed is the most toxic of all food oil plants. Even insects won't eat it. That's right. Canola oil is a very effective insecticide, and it is the primary ingredient in many organic, non-chemical pesticide control products sprayed on vegetables to kill bugs. Many companies are selling canola oil as the healthy alternative, but canola oil is made from genetically modified rapeseed plants. The problem was that rapeseed oil was so toxic that the FDA banned it from human consumption in 1956. So when Canadian growers bred a new variety of rapeseed in the 70s with a lower content of the toxic uric acid, they decided they needed a new name for it. Well, the name of the new oil was LEAR, which is low uric acid rapeseed Oil, but it was eventually renamed canola for marketing reasons because no company wanted to be associated with a product having the name rape in its name, and rapeseed oil was well known to be a toxic oil. So now the Canadian government and industry paid our FDA administration $50 million to have canola oil placed on the GRAS, which is generally regarded as safe list, and that's how it became approved by the FDA. So why didn't they do any studies on humans before the FDA placed it on the GRAS list? Thus, a new industry was created. Laws were enacted affecting international trade, commerce, and traditional diets. The Canadian government subsides most of its rapeseed planting and harvesting, and these plants are cheap, easy to grow, and a natural insect resistant, like I said. And canola oil is cheaper and easier to use for processed foods than more expensive, healthier, and cold-pressed oils such as olive oil. Because canola oil is so cheap, it is now widely used in the food industry. For instance, almost all peanut butter you buy has canola oil as a base, which gives it the spreadability and smoothness. Natural peanut butter only has peanuts and salt usually listed in the ingredients. So studies with animals were disastrous, and rats developed fatty degeneration of heart, kidneys, adrenals, thyroid gland, etc. And when they stopped giving them the canola oil, the deposits dissolved, but the scar tissue remained on all their vital organs. No studies on humans were made before money was spent to promote canola oil in the United States. Peanut oil and other oils were replaced with canola oil. It is in many processed foods such as peanut butter, like I said, and the reason it's cheap is because the Canadian government subsidies it to industries involved in food processing. We have other choices for oils as olive oil, the flax oil, coconut oil, flax oil, that destroy tumor tissue and oxygenates the system. Now, canola is an acronym for Canada Oil, low acid, and was contrived by the Canadian oil industry in 1978. Canadian scientists genetically modified the rapeseed plants for the express purpose of processing the oil for human consumption. So canola, a hybridized rape plant, is one of that nation's chief export products. Rapeseed oil contains toxic uric acid, and canola oil has much less uric acid in it, but research at the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida, determined that as much as 4.6% of all the fatty acids in canola are trans isomers, plastic, due to the refining process. Rapeseed oil is poisonous to living things, and it is an excellent insect repellent, being used to kill aphids for years. It is very effective as it suffocates them, and the oil is used as a lubricant, fuel, soap, and synthetic rubber base to illuminate for colored pages in like magazines. It's an industrial oil, but it's not for human use. Rape oil is strongly related to symptoms of anemia, blindness in animals and humans, constipation, emphysema, irritability, and respiratory problems. Rape oil was widely used in animal feeds in England and Europe between 1986 and 1991 when it was discontinued. Now, here's some more relevant facts. It's, like I said, genetically engineered rapeseed. It's loaded with uric acid, which has been shown to cause lesions of the heart. It's not a good side effect. So, a little genetic manipulation by some plant breeders in Canada created a variety of rapeseed that produced an oil low in uric acid. They called it Lear oil, an acronym for low uric acid rapeseed. So what is uric acid? Uric acid is a monosaturated omega-9 fatty acid. It has many of the same uses as mineral oils, but is most readily biodegradable than some. It has limited ability to polymerize and dry for use in oil paints. Like other fatty acids, it can be converted into surfactant, lubricant, and it's a precursor to biodiesel. Derivatives of uric acid have many other further uses, such as benhenyl alcohol, a pour point depressant, enabling liquids to flow at a lower temperature, and silver benahate for use in photography. Now, there's claims of several human health side effects from canola oil, and I'm going to tell you what some of them are. Anemia, cancer, constipation, disrupting of the nervous system, increased incidence of heart disease, irritability, loss of vision, low birth weights in infants, and respiratory illnesses. And even strange new diseases involving the nervous system may be caused by canola oil, which dissolves the myelin sheath off the nerves throughout the body. As a matter of fact, the heating of most oils during the cooking process does the exact same thing. And how many of you out there fry food? Very gradually over the years, symptoms develop, which at first are perhaps only annoying, but which eventually are diagnosed as a disease. There are many case scenarios, and I'm going to tell you about some of them right now. John worked as a quality control taster at an apple chip factory where canola oil was used for frying, and he developed numerous health problems. Lost his teeth, he had gum disease, gum and nail beds turned gray, his hands got numb and his feet had cramps, he had swollen arms and legs upon rising up in the morning. He had extreme joint pain, especially in his hands, cloudy vision, constipation with stools like black marbles, hearing loss, his skin would tear if it was bumped. He had lack of energy, hair loss, heart pains, and he quit 5 years ago, and he still had some joint pain, gum disease, and numbness. A fellow worker, about 30 years old, who ate very little of the products, had a routine checkup and found his blood vessels were like those of an 80-year-old man. Remember, we absorb through our skin, and he had his hands in this canola oil during his working days, day after day. Next is Jeremy. He came to the center with unexplained exhaustion and numbness and tingling in his extremities. A lady's husband was concerned because he said that she was hyperactive. A 3-year-old child cried constantly and was considered a difficult child. Michael was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Lorraine had a heart problem and a hearing problem. And all of these symptoms linked back to the myelin sheath from canola oil. And most of the people knew they used canola oil over the years, and their symptoms were side effects of the prolonged use of it. And all these symptoms, like I said, were linked to the loss of myelin sheath. When this protective sheath is gone, our nerves short circuit, causing erratic, uncontrollable movements. Most of these people knew they used canola oil, but they did not realize that it would cause these problems for them. And another problem is that almost all canola oil is genetically modified, like I said. And lastly, be aware that canola is a trans fat and has been shown to have a direct link to cancer. So why do they foist such products on the public? Well, it's all about money. It's also a very cheap oil to produce, and the government subsides Canada or canola oil to some industries involved in food processing, bakeries, and schools. And don't be fooled into using canola oil, as it's not fit for human consumption and it can harm you. Even after the processing, it is a penetrating oil and it turns rancid very fast. So now you have many free radicals to cause more health problems. It emits cancer-causing chemicals. Materials taken from a report by Tom Valentine called Canola Oil Report, and Fats That Heal and Fats That Kill. Canola oil was widely used in animal feed in England and Europe between 86 and 91 when it was thrown out. Remember the old mad cow disease scare? When millions of unfortunate cattle were slaughtered in the UK so they wouldn't infect people? Well, cattle were being fed a mixture containing material from dead sheep, and sheep suffer from a disease called scrapie. Well, they had canola oil in the feed. It was thought that this was how the mad cow began to infiltrate the human chain. What's interesting is when canola oil was removed from the animal feed, scrapie disease totally disappeared. Now, in the body, symptoms may be multiple: tremors, shaking, palsy due to malfunction of nerve impulse transmissions, incoordination when walking, writing, and other physical movements. You can have slurred speech, excessive salivation, deterioration of memory and thinking processes, blurred vision, fuzzy or low audio levels, difficulty urinating, incontinence, environmental sensitivity. You can be allergic to some smells and foods and clothing and even electrical equipment. Breathing problems. People get shortness of breath. They have nervous breakdowns and numbness and tingling in their extremities. Heart problems. Little wonder canola oil contains the uric acid and the glucosinolates in the meal, which are both toxic to humans and animals. So what can you do? Well, don't use canola oil. Read your labels. Become a label reader. If you eat out, ask the restaurant if they use canola oil on something that you're going to order. And just be very, very careful and mindful of what you're eating. Now, studies have conclusively shown that canola oil also depletes your vitamin E, which is necessary for life. The most well-known studies were done by Canadian researchers in 1997 and involved piglets who were fed milk replacer containing canola and fortified with vitamin E. Their vitamin E levels dropped dangerously low. Part of the test included piglets on milk replacer with soy oil and fortified with vitamin E, and their levels did not drop. In 1998, the same research group reported problems in platelet count and platelet size in piglets on canola-based feed. Now, rapeseed oil used in China for stir-frying produced highly carcinogenic smoke. According to the Wall Street Journal, on June 7th of 1995, an increased incidence of lung cancer occurred in people who were breathing that smoke. Now, if you would like to learn more about the dangers of canola oil, all you have to do is do a Google search and type in canola oil dangers. You can also do that on YouTube. Now, we're told in Councils on Diet and Foods that fruits, grains, and vegetables prepared in a simple way, free from spice and grease of all kinds, make the most healthful food. Just read the book, How to Live, that we're counseled to read by Sister White, and it very good information in there about how to cook. Now, here's a quote from First Testimonies, page 680, 1T 680. During the last 7 months, we've been at home, but about 4 weeks. In our travels, we have sat at many different tables, from Iowa all the way to Maine. Some whom we have visited live up the best life they have, and others who have the same opportunities of learning to live healthily and well have hardly taken first steps in reform. They will tell you they don't know how to cook in this way, but they are without excuse in this matter of cooking. For in the work, How to Live, are many excellent recipes, and this work is within the reach of all. I do not say that the system of cookery taught in that book is perfect, and I'm going to tell you why, because that was the very first cookbook that ever came out, or health book, and so, she hadn't had all the light yet. But, she says, continuing on with the quote now, I may soon furnish a small work more to my mind in some respects. Sadly enough, though, she never did. But How to Live teaches cookery almost infinitely in advance of what the traveler will often meet, even among some Seventh-day Adventists. So here's some things that are good to know. 1 drop of canola oil or GMO corn oil inhibits the body to synthesize vitamin D. Vegetable oil clogs your arteries. Corn oil is not pure corn, and it is definitely mostly all GMO. Peanut oil clogs your arteries, and oils that are heated are carcinogenic. So frying is a big no-no. It is absolutely horrible for you. Also, I'd like to recommend a book called Food Additives, which is a shopper's guide for what's safe, and the link will be posted below. You can find that link. And by the way, another book called Health Power covers all the information that I've gone over in the past 3 weeks, and it gives statistics of top diseases and goes over all the laws of health that I'm talked about and going to be talking about, and covers a lot of great information. And so I recommend that book. You can go on Amazon and find it. Again, it's called Health Power, and it's by Dr. Hans Deal and another doctor too, which I can't remember the name offhand. So anyway, we're counseled to prepare our food free from grease. We don't want to be adding animal fat in a soft state or any kind of state. And if you look up in the dictionary that Sister White used in her day, grease was animal fat. And so you shouldn't be using lard. But even these other oils, canola oil is not an animal fat, but it's a horrible oil, and vegetable oil because it's GMO, and corn oil because it's GMO, and peanut oil that I talked about. Be very careful what kind of oil that you use. The only oil that I recommend and that I use are olive oil and coconut oil. Now, but I don't fry in them. You know, I usually only use it like in bread making or maybe in a cold pasta salad. I don't like to put heat to it at all, ever. Or if you do heat it, then like coconut oil, sometimes a certain recipe will call for melted coconut oil. So if you do have to melt it for a recipe, I melt it on very low and then take it off the heat and let it cool. Never do I use it hot or boil it or cook it on high. Now, anyway, that's the thing with oil. I'm going to leave you with another quote. It says, Counsels on Diet and Foods, page 92 says, fruits, grains, and vegetables prepared in a simple way, free from spice and grease of all kinds. So never use peanut oil or safflower oil or vegetable oil or canola oil or vegetable oil. Those are all bad oils. Well, that's our time for today, and I hope that what you heard will be a blessing to you and your family. And until the next time, may the good Lord bless and keep you throughout the next week or so. And remember, God loves you and He wants you to be in health. So eat that which is good. God bless. Bye-bye.